Happening now, the new accusation lodged against Governor Cuomo that involves COVID-19 testing priorities, plus what caused an early week fire here in Jamestown.
Well, the clouds are going to start filtering in as we go through the afternoon. Then we get into some strong winds tomorrow. We'll talk about it in detail next. The news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Family members of New York's governor were reportedly given special treatment and tested for COVID-19 by high-up health officials last year. The Albany Times-Union broke the story last night. The paper is reporting that Governor Andrew Cuomo directed state officials to test his brother, his mother, and at least one of his sisters. In some cases, the outlet reports that testing happened at the homes of those family members. Well, now a senior advisor to the governor saying in a statement, in the early days of the pandemic, the state went above and beyond to get people tested, including going into their homes. Well, the trajectory of COVID-19 is concerning some health officials nationwide today. Declines that we saw at the beginning of the year are starting to stall out, and the head of the CDC saying cases are increasing, with the most recent 7-day average up about 3% from the previous week. Mary Maloney with the efforts for more states to get more people vaccinated quickly.
COVID cases across the United States climbing.
I continue to be worried about the latest data.
The World Health Organization reports COVID deaths in a number of countries also going up.
We're not done with this pandemic.
But a year fighting the pandemic has left U.S. hospitals in shambles. According to a report from the Department of Health and Human Services Inspector General, medical workers suffer from burnout, trauma, and PTSD. Facilities are seeing higher turnover and staff shortages as hospitals attempt to stay afloat.
Discussing the morale of healthcare workers, the morale of the public, is the first step to really be addressing this crisis.
One shining light?
Hey, how are you?
Vaccinations.
We are now vaccinating between 16 and 20 million people a week.
And a growing number of states are expanding vaccine eligibility to anyone 16 years old and older.
The problem is there's still a lot of very vulnerable people in these states that haven't gotten a shot at all.
Especially in communities of color.
This is a matter of life and death for a lot of us because we have seen our parents, our brothers, our church members, our neighbors, our co-workers die from COVID-19.
The Biden administration pledged to get COVID vaccines to the vulnerable. But as states work toward that goal, health experts continue to warn of another surge.
I think that once more people are vaccinated, of course, it will move the clouds over and let the sun come through.
I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
Mary, thank you. Chautauqua County's executive, meanwhile, is calling on New York State to open COVID-19 vaccine eligibility to all New Yorkers. Executive P.J. Wendell spoke exclusively on this program yesterday, saying while the demand for the shot remains high, this week the intense rush to book appointments has slowed down. He says the policy change would not only clear up continued confusions about who can get the shot, but also speed up the process to get life back to normal.
Open it up for everybody eligible, 18 years of age and over. Sign up, we'll get people vaccinated and, move out. There are some that are still, trying to get those vaccines, and, we are working diligently to get out to those, our homebound populations. Those with disabilities we're trying to get to as well, as long as our older population. So
the executive says he'll forward the request to state leaders in the coming days. This week, the Chautauqua County Health Department will be administering 3,000 doses in both the Jamestown and Fredonia area after New York State provided their largest allotment of doses to date, with nearby Allegheny County also giving an additional 1,000 doses from an unused supply there. Well, investigators have determined what started a fire that ravaged a Jamestown home this week. The Jamestown Fire Department was called to the corner of Washington and West 7th Streets for a reported structure fire with entrapment just after 7:30 in the morning Tuesday. When first responders arrived on scene there, they spotted heavy smoke and flames coming from the multifamily home. Investigators say combustible items were stored too close to a heating source in the lower apartment, which likely sparked the blaze. Crews worked for hours to knock down the flames that were embedded in the walls of the home. Luckily, no injuries were reported, that thanks in part to a City of Jamestown Department of Public Works employee who's credited with saving 2 residents living in the upstairs apartment. Certainly great work by them. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. As we get a check of some local headlines this hour, let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. We'd love to check in with you and see what you're doing today. It's great to see Butch. Good to see Brenda, Courtney, Ann, Nita, Jason, Stephen. Great to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Good to see Ronald, Joseph, Cindy, and Adam as well. Hopefully you all are having a great day and enjoying the beautiful weather that's out there. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter here now with a first look at our forecast, and Dakota, spring definitely feeling like it's setting in.
Yes, it is. The hills are alive. No, wait, that's the Sound of Music. Anyway, the voices of spring. Never mind. 63.
I see what you were trying to do.
Yeah, well, you see, if anybody's a Three Stooges fan, you'll know one of the famous songs that they often played on a record was The Voices of Spring. That's what I was thinking of.
The Voices of Spring.
The Voices of Spring,
and
not, the
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
Nevertheless, both beautiful days the last couple because sunny, warm. I don't know who could be mad about the forecast, really.
I see we just started right over again.
I'm just trying to pitch it again to you.
Okay, 63 in Findlay Lake right now, and we do have
ruin
some clouds.
it with quotes.
Yeah, okay, I'm done with, okay, so apparently we used up my weather time. Okay, see you, okay, yeah, dew point at 44, nothing on the satellite and radar composite. It's going to stay that way through today. Today, 67 was the high yesterday. We started the day at 45. We'll talk about the record high coming up in just a couple of minutes. We're going to get dangerously close to that. So nice and mild today, more clouds filtering later in the day. Near record warmth, 66 at the waterfront to 74 inland with a southwest wind, but that wind really gets cranking tomorrow. Then we get some more rain showers in here and maybe some snowflakes early next week. We'll talk about it with that 42 degrees and sunny 7-day in a few.
Don't tell us that, Dakota. But we appreciate.
I'm just the messenger.
Yeah, we appreciate your accuracy nevertheless. Lawmakers are finalizing an agreement to legalize recreational marijuana sales to adults over the age of 21 here in New York. Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, the second highest ranking Democrat in that chamber, said yesterday the bill is being drafted and will likely be brought up for a vote next week. The state has come close to passing marijuana legalization several times in recent years, but it's been able to finalize a deal. At least 14 states have legalized recreational marijuana. Now, she says some of the sticking points for legalization in New York is the lack of support from suburban Democrats and concerns over how to address drivers suspected of driving high. It was unclear how any agreement would address impaired driving. Lawmakers and the governor have also been at odds over how to handle marijuana sales tax revenue and how much of a projected windfall should go to communities of color impacted by the decades-long drug war. Well, New York State is looking into the possibility of extending the curfew for some bars and restaurants. Reporters brought up the idea during a press conference briefing on Wednesday, asking if the state is willing to extend that curfew because of Syracuse's men's basketball team playing Saturday night. Tip-off for that's about 10 o'clock. Businesses could miss out on potential profits because they're forced to close at 11. State leaders say they're actively looking at it. The state did not lift the mandatory curfew for the Bills-Ravens divisional playoff game, though, in what would have been a similar move. In the end, State Health Commissioner Dr. Howard Zucker says it all comes down to safety.
We want the team to win, but we also want people to be safe, and so we're looking at that to be sure that whatever decision we make sure that the fans are safe. The similar question came up in Buffalo when we had the Bills.
Yes.
Several New York lawmakers introduced a resolution this week to lift the state's curfew restrictions on bars and restaurants altogether. Next, here, a lot more to tell you about this half hour. The move that aims to protect your stimulus check from debt collectors. And later, we preview a new light-filled exhibit that will be opening at the Audubon Nature Center this weekend. Stay with us as WNY News Now rolls along on this spring-like afternoon.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
Honest John says what you're looking for. When you want it good, we're gonna give you lots more.
From freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has what you're looking for. And now 2 great locations, East 2nd Street and Fairmount Avenue. Order takeout or delivery today online at honestjohns.pizza.
You're gonna get it good at Honest John's.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Chautauqua County's legislature has approved a new Democratic elections commissioner. Lawmakers approved Lauren Kent for the job by a vote of 16-3 during their monthly meeting last night. However, that appointment is not set in stone yet. It's pending the outcome of a lawsuit. Outgoing Democratic Elections Commissioner Norm Green filed suit after his recommendation, Liz Torres, was blocked by the lawmaking body last year. Democratic Minority Leader Chuck Nazaro says the case is slated to go before the court next month.
Once that is heard, the Democratic caucus will be making a public statement outlining all of our rationale and reasoning for bringing this resolution forward. So at this time, I encourage my colleagues to vote for this and let the courts decide in April.
Now, 3 lawmakers who voted no are Republican legislators John Hemmer, Bob Sutter, Bill Ward. They saying they weren't supporting one candidate over the other. Well, New York's Attorney General has released official guidance to protect stimulus payments from being seized by debt collectors. The announcement from Attorney General Letitia James comes as billions of dollars have been sent to Americans as part of the American Rescue Plan. The official guidance from her office excludes certain types of payments like public assistance, Social Security, and veterans and retirement benefits from being garnished by debt collectors. Under New York law, banking institutions, creditors, and debt collectors cannot freeze funds in those accounts. Her office says the guidance is based on multiple state and federal consumer protection laws. Well, throughout the pandemic, many children have spent more time on devices, either for virtual school, social activities, or while their parents were working. As Mandy Gaither reports, that increased screen time also increased cyberbullying.
From virtual learning to social media, children and teens are surrounded by technology, especially during the pandemic, and it's not always a good thing.
There's no escape from cyberbullying because it follows you home, because your technology follows you home.
Angie Boy with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Stephanie V. Blank Center for Safe and Healthy Children says cyberbullying is using any electronic means to intimidate, harass, threaten, or demean a person.
Children have higher levels of anxiety, higher levels of depression as a result of dealing with cyberbullying, which can then have an impact on their behaviors as they continue to age.
There are cyberbullying signs to spot. Your child may not be using their device as much or don't go to the same apps. They may try to hide the screen when an adult is around or avoid social situations with certain friend groups.
Those are red flags that you want to follow up on with your child.
Boy says to set technology rules for how long and when they're allowed to be on, and the biggest advice she can give:
have open conversations with your child. You want to know where they're going online, who are they talking to, what apps are they using. You want to have their usernames and passwords and make sure that you're checking in on them pretty routinely.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Mandy, thank you. Parents should also stay up to date on the latest technology, how to use it, and what apps are available so you know what your child is doing. Well, the Resource Center here in Jamestown is slated to receive $200,000 to construct a new home for their arts program that helps people with disabilities. Officials announced the financial commitment from Key Bank in partnership with First Niagara this week. The money will be used to fund the Edgewater Art House. It's a new development that will be built adjacent to the group's Edgewater Day Habilitation Program on 8th Street here in the city. The Resource Center looks to raise $315,000 in order to start that construction. Now, with money from the banks combined with contributions from the Linné Foundation, Filling the Gap, Inc., and other private donors, they're expected to reach that funding goal. The center is now working with architects to finalize a design before seeking bids for the project, which could break ground in late spring. Certainly great to see. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now as we get a check of some local news headlines this hour. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below, because we really love to hear from you, and we love to see stories like that, stories where the community gives back. And it seems more and more now that everybody is feeling the love as we head into spring. And I think that was one thing, Dakota, that Executive P.J. Wendell really highlighted yesterday when we asked him here on the program what he took away from the COVID pandemic. And one of the big things was bringing people together. And I think we saw that, not just within the family unit. I know I was mentioning that, a year ago, last week when we ran our look back, a year ago that Wendell talked about in his State of Emergency press conference, don't be afraid of this next time. And nobody knew how long this was going to last. But stay together. Be with your family. Break out the board games. Spend more time together. And I think not just the families got closer together, but the community too.
Yeah, because this is something that has impacted all of us in one way or another. Because usually, when we look at things, people, and, we have a lot of social science studies that back this up, that goes, if it doesn't directly impact you,
why do I care?
Right, exactly. So, but with COVID, it has impacted everybody in some capacity, whether it was being laid off from your job or working from home, or not being able to go to concerts or have sporting events or whatever the case may be. Everybody has been impacted by it in one way or another. And because I think it's all impacted all of us, we all can look at each other and go, I totally understand how you feel. I totally understand everything, because it's something that we're all going through.
Yeah, and there was so much that happened between last year and today. And there still is so much that's happening. And I think the biggest thing now is there's that light at the end of the tunnel where people are like, you know what? Spring is here. The vaccine is here. Let's go back to the way that things were, but it's still going to be modified. I still truly believe this.
Mhm.
I've said this before as my takeaway. What's my takeaway from COVID? Well, I think people are going to judge, you're going to have pre-COVID, lockdown, and then post. I really believe that is how we're going to probably see history. And
Right.
it really is. That's the part of it. It's really
Yeah,
a
and
big
I
part of it.
mean, you know, I would assume, I mean, I don't know much about the pandemic. What was it, in
1919, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah, in 1919. I don't
Spanish
know.
flu.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of the history behind that, but I would assume after that pandemic, there was a lot of things that changed from a public health standpoint, or how people lived back then, and I think the same thing's going to happen here, because I've said before, maybe when you go to a theater to watch a concert or a play or whatever, you know how those theater seats are so tiny,
Right, maybe we'll
big
be
people
spread
like
out.
me can't fit in them, and you've got people up on top of you. Well, maybe those days are over.
Yeah, I'm
maybe
going-
the seats are going to be more spaced out now.
And they already, the events that are open. I'm going to a basketball game with my girlfriend in a month here now, and the NBA requires you to have people separate, and I personally enjoy that better, being separated, having a little more space than being canned in there like sardines next to Joe Schmoley from Connecticut,
stinks.
and it's like, no, nobody. Come on, right? Yeah, give me some room.
Right.
I got to stretch out when I'm eating my nachos, you know. and
Should we just move on?
No, I got a transition for you. I'm a broadcast pro. Good to see Butch, Cindy, Sam, and Aaron as well. A lot of people were asking about the stimulus checks in the comments here. Yeah, so paper checks, you can go to the IRS's website. There's a Find My stimulus check tool that you can see, and you can see when you'll be getting a check. A lot of people got their money already over the weekend if you had direct deposit, but you can check the paper status of that as well. One thing I mentioned, stretching out. People today going to be stretching out if they can get outside, because it's going to be really, really warm, but I know rain is coming.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's going to be another warm day, but let's take a look at the precipitation through the month, because really we haven't had a whole lot of rain here. Yesterday was the first Wednesday of the month where we actually had measurable rain on a Wednesday, 1/1800ths of an inch, and the rain has been kind of sparse here. We haven't had really a lot of kind of soaking rain, so our rainfall total for the month is 1.12 inches. That is down over an inch to where we should be, and as we run right now, understand this is not official, but as we run, 2021 would rank as the driest March on record in terms of rainfall. We'll see where we end up, but it's definitely up there. And this is something we hinted about, how it's going to be near record warmth today. We're forecasting 72 for the city of Jamestown. Very good shot of hitting that. The record is 75, set back in 1945. I don't think we'll hit it, but we're going to come dangerously close to that. So it's going to be so just to give you an idea of how warm it is. Doubletree camera's back online. It was down for some maintenance for a while. 61 as a noon hour right now. Very warm out there with a southwest wind at 9. That southerly wind component always is a key that's going to help to warm you up. And because the dew point is still relatively low, we really don't have a heat index out there to contend with. This is a big mess of a storm system right down here across the deep south. This is what's going to be moving our way tonight and then through the day tomorrow. This is going to bring some of that rain showers tonight and tomorrow, but this is going to produce a big severe weather outbreak across the deep south. Again, they just went through one last week, and they're going to go through another one again. There's a high risk of severe weather once again across portions of Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. So again, if you know people down there, call them, text them to let them know on that, because again, very violent tornadoes could be a possibility down there. But around here, no severe weather. It's going to be a nice day out there. Clouds and sunshine, very warm. Now, as we get into tonight, as that storm system pulls up into the upper Great Lakes, we'll see the influx of that moisture coming in. And the good news here is it's not going to be kind of soaking rain, but there will be some pockets of moderate rainfall at times, maybe even a rumble of thunder as well overnight. The rain is going to continue through the day tomorrow. Then it will start to back off as the storm system pulls away. The rain showers are going to come to an end, and we may actually see some partial sunshine at times on Friday as well. Now, this is a product called called Storm Potential. We show this sometimes. This is an exclusive product on the in-house computer model, and it shows you the better chance of thunderstorm development where you see these darker colors up here. So again, you know, not a whole lot of the overall atmospheric conditions to support thunderstorms, but you could hear a rumble or thunder or two overnight. High wind watch stays in place across all of the southern tier in northwestern Pennsylvania. Starts tomorrow at 8 o'clock and runs until 5 o'clock tomorrow. Wind gusts possibly 50 to 60 miles per hour. The strongest wind gusts right near the Lake Erie shoreline. So watch out for tree limbs falling and maybe some scattered power outages. Look at these high temperatures today across the inland areas, lower 70s. Enjoy it, close to that record, but I don't think we'll break it. Next 7 days coming up right now, brought to you by 42 degrees and sunny. 57 tomorrow, that's an early morning high. We fall all the way down to the 40s by the end of the day. My pick day is Saturday, 58 and sunshine. More rain returns on Sunday. Maybe a few morning snowflakes on Monday. Should not accumulate. We're down to 40, and then we bounce right back into the 60s for Wednesday with a few more rain showers. We'll take a break and be right back. First Defense Weather is sponsored by 42 Degrees and Sunny, smoking deals on smoking accessories. Learn more at 42degreesandsunny.com. That's 42degreesandsunny.com.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Finally here today, a vibrant light display connecting visitors with nature kicks off this weekend. The Audubon Community Nature Center is welcoming spring by hosting a self-guided walkthrough of their grounds at night with trails of lights leading the way. It's all made possible by funding from the Chautauqua Regional Community Foundation and business sponsor FCS Communications. Senior nature educator Jeff Tome tells us the center's trailside forests and ponds are decorated with over 10,000 LEDs showing off nature's beauty. Western New York P-Tech STEM College and Career Academy students worked with him to install those illuminations. Tome says self-guided walks follow a luminary-lit trail about 1/3 of a mile around that nature center.
We've got the trail lit with luminaries and lights, and you can get outside and it's absolutely gorgeous. There's spotlights, there's something called meteor lights that look like rain showers. We have lasers, and this trail is just lit up with all kinds of different things to look at and enjoy. But at the same time, you can kind of get used to those sounds of the night and a little bit of the dark and see what nature is like at night.
Now, he says face coverings are required when 6 feet of distance between each family group can't be maintained. Tome also asked guests to dress for the weather, since that exhibit will happen rain or shine. Located at 1600 Riverside Road, the Nature Center works to build and nurture connections between people and wildlife through various educational efforts. They previously hosted a Winter Lights event similar to the new spring venture, which is launching this year. The display is open Fridays and Saturdays from March 26th through April 10th. You can book an appointment online right now at audubоncnc.org. Really incredible. And it was beautiful, beautiful last night. The video, I don't think, does it justice, honestly, because the human eye, I mean, between the sun setting, you know, the sky, you can still see like a little bit of the bluish light mixed in with the natural landscapes and the lights. Hats off to everybody who worked on that, because it's a sight to see. Definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I think I mentioned before about how when I was in school, we did a couple of field trips to the Audubon, but I haven't been there in, years. The last time we took a field trip, which I don't even remember when that was.
But Tome says one thing, not only is this a great, you know, event for families, but he really recommends to people, if you can, get outside. And he's like, just come check it out. because we've all been cooped up for so long, and this is a great opportunity to do that. And on the field trip note, they're getting back into that a little bit. They're going to start to maybe get back to schools. You know, I remember as a kid they did bring creatures into your schools, and he said that's one thing that they're really working on, doing it and doing it safely. So certainly we'll stay tuned for more on that, because it's incredible, and really that's what people want. You know, let's get back. Let's just get back to the outdoors. Get back to the weather. Back it up.
Danger, Will Robinson. See you tomorrow.
That's going to do it for us. We'll leave you with Chautauqua Lake. Dakota, you're running. You're running out of here today. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're leaving right now, right after the
Bye.
show. Bye-bye.